Thank you to everyone for being here. One of the things that I've learned in studying language and communication is that we can always tell when people are listening. And I'm going to ask you to listen in three ways. The first is with your eyes. Put your camera on. Put your camera on. Let's see you. Let's see what you're doing and pay attention. This is going to be a short little time we're spending today, and then I promise you we'll release you so that you can all go watch Value Squared, right? The second way is with your ears by actively listening and showing your engagement. And the third is by your fingers. And that's if I ask a question, you respond in the chat. So that's the way I'm going to know that you're engaged in this. Because statistically speaking, the more engaged you are, the more you're going to retain. The more you retain, the more you can use this information, these valuable little snippets that I'm going to give you today. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd love to see just in the chat box how many agents we have versus leadership versus coaches. So in the chat box, just take a moment, use the fingers, and just are you an agent, um, and or are you leadership? Where are you, Agent New Orleans? I love, Liz, that you're doing the next thing I was going to ask, and that was everybody rename themselves to whatever location you're in. What makes that important? Well, we all love referrals, don't we? And who would be better to give a referral to than people you see on this call looking to learn the same skills as you? So I love all that. So if you want to rename yourselves, and it looks like the majority are agents. So and look at Holly's here, and I know that you've got some special guests in your market center today. So thanks for being here. So let's go ahead and get started on what makes you say that, unveiling the power of neurolinguistic programming in real estate. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to today's webinar. And during our time together, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of neurolinguistic programming, which is also called NLP. And we're going to explore how its linguistic techniques, because there's some mental techniques, and we're going to focus on the linguistic ones, how they can significantly enhance your abilities as a real estate agent and help you sell more homes. And most importantly, better understand your clients. Now, one of the things that I love about this is if you learn to do some of this stuff in your business, last time I checked, your business was a part of you. And if you become a better communicator in your business, where else does that translate? Everywhere, right? You could be a better communicator with your friends, with your family, with your significant other. And Lord knows, I mean, there are days where it's like, I think we are on absolutely different planets. You know, I love you, hon, and you're taking this promo webinar, right? So before we dive into the practical aspects, let's grasp the essence of NLP and its significance in our profession. Neurolinguistic programming, simply put, is a powerful tool that involves understanding how language patterns and communication techniques actually influence our thoughts, our feelings, and then our actions or behaviors. In the realm of real estate, mastering NLP techniques can be the difference between a mediocre agent and a top performer. So, I've been teaching the language of sales program with MAPS for long enough to know that right now there are a good amount of you that are skeptical and others who are thinking, this is wrong, this is manipulation. Understand this. The Cambridge Dictionary online defines the word manipulation as this: controlling someone or something to your own advantage, often unfairly or dishonestly. Now, you would be manipulating if you are trying to control someone for your own advantage, or it was to take advantage of them, or you were being less than honest. Now, show of hands on the screen, who's here to do that? Okay, good. Nobody's hand was raised. Madeline, we're good. We're in the clear. So, if you go into every real estate transaction and every real estate conversation from the standpoint of, I want a paycheck from you, well, then you are acting in a manipulative way, period, because you're doing it for yourself. However, if you go into those same conversations looking for depth of clarity and answers that will help the listener or your client or potential client move closer toward his or her goal, to have a smoother transaction, a more efficient transaction, move in a more efficient manner, then quite frankly, there's no manipulation involved, because what you're doing is using your expertise and your language skills to help them get what they want. As the result, you end up getting that paycheck. So it becomes a win-win. So, to guide us through this journey, we're going to draw some information and insights from someone you might have heard of. His name is Phil M. Jones, and he wrote the book Exactly What to Say. Now, I happen to be one of 30 of his guides, which means I'm certified to actually teach his material. And in that book, Exactly What to Say, serves as an invaluable resource, offering precise linguistic strategies to navigate various scenarios very effectively. So, one of the pivotal phrases from the book, "What makes you say that?" it actually encapsulates the essence of the curiosity driven communication, which lies at the core of NLP, at the neuro linguistic programming. So let's dive into the what of NLP linguistic techniques, and then I'm going to follow it up with the how. So there's three categories that we're going to focus on. So if you're taking notes, you might want to write down the first one. The first one is building rapport. Building rapport. Building rapport. Now, you may have heard of this before, and it's always good for your brain to get a refresher, right? When the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So, establishing rapport is crucial in real estate, right? NLP techniques can help you build rapport effortlessly. Now, one technique you may already know is mirroring and matching your clients' patterns, their language patterns, the way they talk, their tonality, their body language. If you're really good at getting in rapport, you might be one of those people that hangs around hangs around with someone, and you naturally start picking up the way they talk. Now, it's funny, I remember when I was a child, our very good family friends and next door neighbors, we traveled with them a lot, and their cousins from Canada would come with us. And do we have anybody on the screen from Canada today? If so, raise your hand or put in the box. I didn't think I saw anyone. And I think we all know that Canadians, like, at least then, and my friend Nick would always end a sentence with a. And by the end of our 2-week vacation, what were all the rest of us Chicagoans saying at the end of our sentences? A, because we were around him and we were in rapport. We were in rapport. So suppose you're meeting a client who speaks softly and maintains a more relaxed posture. You want to mirror their demeanor by adopting a similar tone and posture, and that will establish rapport. Now, linguistically, you might pay attention to this. If the client says, "I prefer a quiet neighborhood," you could respond, "I bet you're a bit like me and enjoy the importance of tranquility. How important is it that your next home has a fence?" You see what we did there? We took their words, rephrased them a little bit, quiet neighborhood, and asked if it was important that they had a fence. And we told them we understand the importance of tranquility. Remember this: people like people who are like them. People like people who are like them. People like people who are like them. So the more you can be like them, the more effective you're going to be in your communication. The second category, so the first one we had was building rapport. The second category is effective questioning. Effective questioning. So, effective questioning is asking the right questions, and they can uncover valuable insights about your client's needs, preferences, and likes. NLP and language techniques actually equip you with the skills to frame questions in a way that elicits a detailed response from someone. And we use techniques such as open ended questions or powerful questions, presuppositions, and framing questions. So, Here would be an example. You're showing a property, and instead of asking a straightforward question like, do you like the kitchen? Which can simply elicit, well, a yes or a no answer, right? You could utilize the NLP techniques to encourage detailed responses. You might try saying something like, in my experience, there are two types of people: those who rarely cook in their kitchen and those who use it as a gathering place. What features are you looking for in the kitchen? Or you might want to say something like, how does this kitchen line up with your specific needs? These type of open-ended questions framed in front with one of Phil's brilliant phrases of, in my experience, there's two types of people. These types of open-ended questions prompt the client to actually express their preferences more elaborately. And the more elaborate they are, the more information they give us, well, honestly, the easier it is for us to actually help them and streamline that process and make it more efficient and eliminate any of those speed bumps that we might have. Now, the third category for today is influence and persuasion. Influence and persuasion. Again, it's influence and persuasion. So, whether it's negotiating a transaction or convincing a hesitant buyer or seller, mastering persuasive language is indispensable. NLP techniques empower you to frame your conversations persuasively, using language patterns that appeal to your client's subconscious mind and get them moving towards their goal with less resistance. So during the have you ever heard this? We we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. You know that the person who is asking the questions is actually the one in control of the conversation. So it should be our goal. Now, I'm not saying sit there with a stopwatch. However, it should be our goal in every conversation with a client, a prospective client, someone on the other end, to ask those powerful questions that elicit longer answers. Don't hesitate to ask more than one question, too. The worst thing we could do is they say something, we presume we know it, and their perspective is different than ours. After all, you have your perspective because you've lived your life. They have their perspective because they've lived theirs. So keep this in mind. We're going to use those NLP techniques to empower you to frame conversations persuasively. And we're going to use certain language patterns that actually appeal to the client's unconscious mind and get them moving towards their goal with less resistance. So think about this. During negotiations, you could employ persuasive language patterns that influence the client's decision-making process in a positive manner. For instance, if a client expresses hesitation about a property's price, well, you could say, many buyers have found this neighborhood to be an excellent investment. What have we done? What have we just done there? They say, I'm not sure. The price seems a little high. And we say, many buyers have found this neighborhood to be an excellent investment. Using the box, tell me, what have we just done there? Take a guess. I see some typing. We're removing doubt, or at least decreasing it, right? It's a great answer, Nicole. Or Nicolette, excuse me. We have them thinking long term, how it's a wise investment. Yes, Chet. Exactly. We're planting the seed that it's an excellent investment. Mary, I like the word, the simple word that you picked. We're influencing, right? We're showing them that, well, we're not saying they're wrong. Understand that. So, first of all, this would be called like a common reframe. We're not making them wrong. If we make them wrong, it's like we went up and we booped them in the nose. And if we did that, well, they're probably going to do what? They're going to boop us back, or they're going to walk away, or they're not going to want to have anything to do with us. So all we're doing is what we call a reframe. We're opening it up to a different perspective. Many buyers have found this neighborhood to be an excellent investment. I didn't say that you're wrong. However, let's look long term at this, right? And then you could follow that up with, how certain are you that this isn't going to be your next home? Now they really have to think. They're not going to go, oh, I'm 100% certain. No, we've created enough doubt to keep the conversation going. And that's what we want. Because as Susan Scott says in the book Fierce Conversations, the conversation is the relationship. Think about that. If one side stops talking, there's no relationship. There's no relationship at all. So, how certain are you that this isn't your next home? So, if we string this together and they say, I don't know, I mean, the price seems kind of high on this, and you come back with, many buyers have found this neighborhood is an excellent investment. How certain are you that this isn't your next home? The good news is we can go over all the important factors so you can make the most strategic decision for you and your family. And then you would simply add a close on, right? Let's go back to the office and meet. Let's whatever the next step is, now you're going for a close for the next step. So by incorporating these NLP techniques into your interactions, you'll not only enhance your communication skills, you're going to deepen your understanding of your client's needs and motivations. That ultimately leads to increased sales because you have more satisfied clients. What do satisfied clients do? What do they do? Anyone? You can come off of mute. You can type it in the box. What do satisfied clients do? Yes, they buy homes and
Refer
they
you.
refer you. Yes, they refer you. People, they're going to shout it from the rooftops once they've had an amazing experience from you. And it all comes from just tweaking a little bit of the language you're using. This is the interesting thing about language of sales is we're not teaching you a brand new language, right? I've had on my goal board for years to relearn Spanish that I haven't had since college. Obviously, it's not a priority. Why? Because I know it takes a lot of work because I have to relearn words, I have to relearn meanings. What we're talking about in NLP and language of sales is not relearning anything. It's as if you're taking what you're saying and you're dumping it out and you're just putting it in a different order that helps a transaction and most importantly communication move smoother. Move smoother. So when you master neurolinguistic programming techniques, it's a game changer for real estate agents. It enables you to forge stronger connections with clients, ask insightful questions, and at ultimately influence decisions effectively. So as you embark on your language journey, whatever that looks like, we've got another free promo webinar coming up in a couple weeks, and of course, we have the actual language of sales program, which is only a 6 weeks program. The link is in the box. As you embark on your language journey, remember the words of Phil Jones and exactly what to say. The worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. Thanks for your attention today. I'm going to stick around for a little bit, answer any questions, and I look forward to seeing you soon. So if you'd if you have any questions, you can come off mute, you can come on the camera, you can type them in the box. If you don't have any questions, you're free to leave. And for those heading over to Value Squared, we'll see you there. We'll see you there shortly.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lakeisha. Who might have some questions? Yes, Chet. Do you want to ask? Just, yeah, take yourself off mute.
Yeah, might have helped if I took myself off mute. Um, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Phil Jones, and it's funny that you brought him up because I just ordered the role play cards.
The cards, they're amazing.
Okay, um, I I'm definitely going to sign up for Language of Sales. In the meantime, it looks like there's a launch date of April 23rd.
Yes.
Um, do you I guess is there a group that kind of does like a lot of role play with the cards?
I can point you in that direction, Chet. My email, I'm going to put it in the box, Kara at karamall.com. Email me there and ask, because there is a invite Facebook group that I can send you to that is monitored by those of us that are certified guides that can help you. There's actually 6 formal ways to use the cards and then a lot of fun ways that we're learning too. So be happy to send you that information.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Can you tell us how to get those cards?
I can, Peggy, you can, you know what, do the same thing. Email me and say, where do I get the role play cards?
And by the way, I have a testimonial for you because I did take your language of sales
I
class.
remember you, Peggy.
And it is phenomenal. I mean, I wish I could just like infuse everything you say into my brain.
Well, the more you practice, you know how I got this way, Peggy? I practiced and I did it and I started teaching it and doing it over and over and over. So, I mean, that's where I would say if you want to get better at communication and quite frankly, who doesn't? Let's enroll in the class again, because you're not at the same level now that you were then, that you were the time before and the time before and the time before. So you're going to be learning things at a different level. And maybe some of those things that you kind of glossed over the last time, it's going to be like, oh, I get this now. So don't rob yourself of that opportunity. And thank you for the testimonial. Holly asked, besides the book, my favorite help with communication. Well, I'm gonna make a plug for language of sales. Again, it's learning. You can read about this stuff all day long, until you start doing it and using it. You're not going to alter your behavior. Let me give you an example. Does anybody on the screen golf? I'm going to presume that somebody does, or you can at least relate to this. If I were to go out and swing a golf club right now, say at a driving range, I could go and hit a bucket of balls, spend an hour, and my swing is going to be off. The problem is, if it's only me out there, I don't know how to correct it because I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Because if I did, I wouldn't be doing it. Does that make sense? So, unless you're going to immerse yourself in a place where you can actively learn a different technique, and again, or tweak one of the techniques to better serve you and serve your clients, unless you're going to do that and then actively practice it, you might as well just buy a book and stick it on your shelf, because it's not going to have any impact if you're not actually using the tools. And you're not going to know if you're using the tools correctly if you're not in the class and you have someone checking in on it. And that's why we have accountability partners and we have practice and role play time, etc. So it's a great question. Anybody else? Any more questions? You guys are hanging around because you're looking for something. It's my pleasure, Chet. Anybody else? No? All right then. It is about 12:25. For those that are heading over to Value Squared, we'll see you over there. Everybody else will either see you on the next promo, or we'll see you on April 23rd when we actually launch the class. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.